and welcome to Maha's Talk Show. Today we're going to discuss about Adidas, Nicola's favorite company. Isn't that right?
Yes, hi Arina. So you have probably heard about Adidas news. So today we're going to discuss about whether Brecht, the company's CIO, should implement or establish captive centers within Adidas global license.
We're currently with one of the Adidas experts in the field, Thomas. Hello Thomas, how are you?
Hi Rina and Nico, thanks for having me. Before we dive into Adidas issues, I think we should cover some background. Adidas is a big German multinational corporation which had a 14.5 billion turnover in 2014 and has brands like Adidas, TaylorMade, or Reebok. Now we'll be talking about Jan Malek, their Chief Information Officer. He has been very successful and has seen Adidas transform, from a wholesaler towards owning more than 1,300 retail stores and managing growing e-commerce and online presence. So their global IT is becoming increasingly important.
Thank you Thomas for your answers. Now we're going to talk to Alina, who's a consultant from McKinsey. Hello Alina, nice to have you here. So please tell me, why do you think this is a good idea?
Well, Arena, there are actually two great advantages that Adidas will have if they establish a captive center. First of all, it will introduce more competition into the IT provider market, and the existing vendors, Alpha, Beta, and Gamma, will have the incentive to lower their prices and improve their product quality. Second of all, Adidas will have full control over a captive center, which is different from just having a third-party service provider, and it will enjoy having just full control over everything that the center does.
Okay, fair, but how about security?
Oh yes, of course. Well, Adidas will have an improved security because if they establish a captive center, they won't have to share their internal information with a third-party vendor. They can retain the knowledge, and therefore they can protect their intellectual property.
That sounds really good, but are there any drawbacks to this idea? Could you please elaborate?
Well, the main disadvantage is cost. First of all, Adidas will have to pay higher wages to their employees in the captive center because there's less career growth opportunities. And second of all, there's going to be the added cost of managing another vendor. Even though it's fully controlled by Adidas, there will still have to be extra costs.
So Thomas, from a professional point of view, is there any academic support for what Alina just mentioned?
Yeah, Nico. Actually, Professor Dylan Oshry is a big expert in the field of captive centers. There are two papers maybe to mention. More general one by Oshry and Madum from 2012 details more about the history of captive centers, different models of captive centers, and describes the captive center as a business unit that is wholly owned by the parent company and offshore location. And then there's also one really good point that Alina made about the high attrition levels and low career development in captive centers, which Oshry details in a paper in 2011.
Thank you, Lina, for answering our questions. Now we're going to go back to our correspondent, who is going to be with Adi, one of Adidas representatives. Let's see if we can get in touch with her. Amir, can you hear me?
Yeah, Arina, I can hear you. Hi, Arina. Joining us here is Adi from Adidas Group. Hi, Adi. Hi. So we heard that Adidas have recent movement to set up a captive center. What about the location?
Well, we're kind of based on three key factors. So our first one is people, the other one is market discipline, and then the third one would be the access to technology and all the resources available to us. So basically, in order to achieve all of that, we have decided we're going to implement those resources in Spain. One of the reasons why would be because of higher education than any other captive center that we opened before, for example in India. So there would be better quality assurance in our products and technology. Some of the drawbacks, however, would be, I would say, kind of cultural barrier and maybe languages barrier. So that could be one of the difficulties.
Okay, thanks, Adi. So how should such captive center be built?
Well, it's actually a very long process, so it's good that you've asked this question. As Adidas is a very big company, we have to take into consideration a lot of steps. So first of all, one of our first steps is actually to implement the business vision and their core operations. The next one that would be very important is actually to choose the right model for implementing and locating the captive center. So that would be very important as well. So that will require, for example, a location analysis, this will be a completely different step. When it comes to process design and some mapping, then the analysis of the internal processes and the workflow will allow the documentation to be better implemented and better written, which will allow us to better, just attract the key factors of everything. The technology design, which is another step inside this process, will allow us to evolve new hardware and software, which will also be including some other systems in order to perform the best in different captives and according to their needs. With all of this, one of the key steps then, it will be the training strategy in order to really, train our employees to use all these software and tools. So one of the key things basically for the training would be the communication. So the management analysis strategy it's key to implement those communication patterns. Then in order to really take the right employees and work within the organization, recruiting will be a major factor in order to recruit the right people with the right skills. Some of the site preparation and the system development would be very good, so our software and hardware will be implemented correctly. So this stage will basically lead on to the rollout, which will actually be led to, as you know, Arita, go on and do it.
Okay, thanks for the long explanation. So, what function would you like to put in that captive center?
We thought that non-core functions would be the most appropriate. We're still trying to kind of analyze this thing, because these are functions that would not be required on a daily basis, but would need to be implemented in order to maintain our daily operations. So some of the maintenance of the software would be very important to having those non-core functions. Testing as well, in order to test our software and everything, and that will obviously require some customer support, customer service in order to maintain and support those services.
Yeah, okay, so we know that the interaction between existing vendor and captive center is a really big problem. How could you solve that kind of problem?
Well, Adidas has his main interest is basically to keep that very relationship between the IT vendors and the business, to create a good kind of management and feel to the business operations and everything. So in order to do that, we use the BS 11,000 framework, which actually established those business relationships and help the company to develop and manage your operations and manage the organization itself and its people and employees basically. So there's a couple of stages. For example, one of them is the awareness within the business. That will help us to identify the key objectives and value proposition of the business, and as well as knowing how to prioritize relationship with IT vendors and other customers, which will be very important for our business, which will lead actually to some knowledge behind that. So in order to develop this, we have to develop specific business strategy in order to implement those things. When it comes to assessing some operations, we use a very internal assessment in order to see within our perspective of the business how it's managing. So we're trying to understand the strengths and the weaknesses of our own operations and potential to basically know how to get better in the future and how to better implement different things. And as I said before, the relationship between the IT vendors and ourselves as a big company, we'll have to select partners basically. As much as it sounds strange to select your partners, we'll have to select them in order to really closely look and understand which one are better and what capability they have, which will enhance the business operations. So partners is a key advancement into the future of the business. Within working together and establishing, different governance and contract agreements, that will allow us to basically keep inside the lawsuits and the copyright and everything relating to that. So will help Adidas to just keep in line with all of the governance system. So as I said, with staying together and all the performance strategy and other maintenance behavior, that will allow us to trust our employees and trust our business and trust our partners, which will allow us to have a great value creation within our business, because having a strong relationship and strong partners and allow this communication together will allow us to basically implement the innovation process, which will define a lot of value in the driven future. So basically all of this at the end relates to how we're exiting the strategy, right? So it will establish on the same time our close relationship with our IT vendor, but on the same time we'll establish some boundaries with some businesses, because you need to know where you stand in terms of that. And that will also be good for us because we'll allow to monitor the evolution of the changes in the management that is happening within Adidas. So these key benefits and things that are good, it will allow us to evolve in opportunity in the future, and the collaboration in operational product or any partners involved will have a very strong and deep focus towards developing value and improvement of our products in the future.
Yeah, thank thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, so Arena, it's time to back to you.
Reflections!
So we approached this project by taking the questions and splitting them up among each other. So each one of us answered one question, and then in the group meetings we would come together and brainstorm and have a discussion about our answers.
So basically, one of the challenges was that we come from different courses, so we had different timetables, and it was very difficult to meet up, but we managed it.
Another challenge was the fact that we didn't actually manage to create the location at the beginning, as in we came with different perspectives, and at some point we had an argument between us, but it was a constructive one because everybody had a different point of view, which was really good for the project, and that's how we came up with the Maha stock show and the Spain of the location in Spain.
Yeah, so when we came up with the talk show, we made sure that to improve one of the challenges to have, instead of having every one of us doing the video, we had at least 3 people, so 2 people acting it out and 1 filming the video, so that saved us a lot of time and we kind of got forward with the project.
Yeah, and also the acting is very challenging, but we managed to do it on time. So that's pretty much about our projects. And
yeah, we improved it also we could have improved it by starting to edit a lot at the beginning. Yeah.
timing things.
Yeah.
And maybe we could have also started to get into more depth into the information, but
Yeah.
the challenge was that I made this video, which
And we have so much to talk about.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, guys, for having
Thank you,
this.
Maha.
Thank you.
And thank you, Maha. And Thomas, you want to add something?
Thomas, say something.
No?
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.